Hey guys, welcome back. So now we're getting back into Flashpoint Beyond with the return of Subject 1, the Superman. And man, this story just keeps getting crazier. But at this time, with us being a little bit over the halfway point, some of the mysteries are starting to unfold, while others are only getting a little bit clearer. And you'll see what I mean as we talk about it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so initially when we jump back in, we start off with a flashback that takes us to Krypton 30 years ago in the Flashpoint universe, where we see a number of ships aside from Kal-El's leaving the planet. And we'll get into a bit more about that in a little bit. But also through the course of this, we get the commentary of Jor-El, with him mentioning how Krypton is dying and how even with their advanced science, they can't stop its inevitable destruction, which is why Kal-El, amongst many others, were sent out into the void as a last-ditch effort to save the Kryptonian race. But also in this flashback, and much like how it had played out in Flashpoint originally, Kal-El's ship lands in Metropolis rather than Smallville, and as it does, we see Jonathan and Martha Kent watch the ship fly across the sky as if it's a shooting star, which again is how it looked if you were watching it from Smallville. But if you were watching it from Metropolis, that thing looked like a missile, with it shooting right into the Daily Planet, decimating Metropolis and killing over 35,000 civilians. But from here, like we'd seen, the government had taken Kal-El and they began Project Superman, with Kal-El becoming Subject 1 in a laboratory half a mile below Metropolis. But since this time, a lot of things have taken place, like Kal-El being sent to take down Subject 0, which at that time was a battle that led to Lois's death and inspired Kal-El to become a Superman. But also this was a development that had been building, with General Lang treating Kal-El like the son that he never had, as well as the death of Crypto prior to this point. But overall, with this flashback just showing the crash landing of his ship, this then turns into a modern day news broadcast where they're showing the older footage and looking back at the destruction that had taken place 30 years ago, with the world now knowing the truth about Project Superman, with the unredacted government documents that were released by Sarge Steele, as well as all these theories and rumors of Subject 1 preparing for a Kryptonian invasion. And it's here while we're hearing this broadcast where it takes us back to Wayne Manor with Cobblepot and Dexter, where at this time Dexter is now learning to pick locks. Because what harm could it do teaching a kid to use explosives, guns, and pick locks? And especially a kid that's being raised around a Batman. But really, this is one of those things we've seen building up this whole time, but we won't get into the full fruition of where this is going until the next issue, so hold tight. But while the two of them are here, Eobard Thawne just shows up, and the only words he's able to get out are, "I need Thomas Wayne, he's coming for me again, hyper time." And right after that, he just disappears, leaving Oswald and Dexter just clueless to what just happened. And a little spooked too, because Oswald's like, "Man, I need a drink." And he offers Dexter one too. Just terrible. But from here, we then jump back over to where we had left off, with Thomas getting a painful interruption from Subject 1, with him arriving and stopping Thomas from killing Captain Boomerang, while also telling him that everything matters. Because again, like we'd seen, Thomas, he just wants to fix this universe by more or less making sure that it never happened. And that's why, from what we'd seen with the way that Thomas has been moving, he's been very careless returning to the Flashpoint universe, because his plan is to find who brought it back, kill them, and end this universe so that on that night, him and Martha would have died instead of Bruce. Which is why for Thomas, the whole nothing matters goes out to the whole universe and himself. But with Subject 1 arriving here, who we can really just call the Superman, but with him coming here and telling Thomas that everything matters, he also has some new information for him. But before he can even get into it, Captain Boomerang picks up the gun, he starts shooting, and really this was a missed opportunity for one of those bullets to fly right back and catch Captain Boomerang in the face. You know, just giving us a classic Boomerang bullet moment. But that doesn't happen, and instead the Superman, he tells him to leave or burn, and from there Captain Boomerang, he just gets out of there. But from here, Thomas, he then asks the Superman why is he here. In response, he tells Thomas that he needs his help. And initially Thomas just tells him to find somebody else because he has other stuff to do at the moment. But then when the Superman tells him to wait and listen, Thomas then turns around and starts punching him in the face. But with doing this, he's only tearing up his own hands in the process and fracturing his wrist. But when he's finally done, the Superman tells Thomas to come with him. And when he says this, Thomas then lets him know that there is nothing that he can do that is going to make Thomas go with them. And as soon as he says that, the Superman just slaps him to sleep, and he then takes Thomas on the trip. But from here we then go back to Arkham with Gilda Dent, who at this point has been strapped down and moved to another room by a security guard and what appeared to be an orderly by the name of Arthur. That could have been Arthur Crane, not sure. But while Gilda's here, she's speaking of how she wants to see her son Dexter, and she hears a voice respond telling her that she will. And initially Gilda tells this voice that you're not real, Dr. D said you're not real, and the voice tells her, how would he know what's real? Is he God? Does he know what you did? I know what you did. And the voice lets her know that Dexter will come to them. A boy needs his mother, and then they can finish this. And after this, we then go back to Thomas, with him waking up not knowing where he is, finding himself bandaged up from that rough night in the alley. But also with him arriving here, he's soon greeted by Poison Ivy, who prior to this Thomas had killed already. But with a lot of the speculations and the news reports that he's seen talking about the different sightings, he's not too surprised to see Ivy alive. But also with him seeing her here, she lets him know that since she's returned, she's become a part of the Parliament of Trees, which for the most part are plant elementals who date back long before mankind, who protect plant life on Earth. And it's usually more of a Swamp Thing type of thing, which will make even more sense in just a little bit. But then it's after this where Ivy then takes Thomas to speak with the Superman, to where then of course Thomas is like, where are we? And Ivy lets him know that we are on the safest place on Earth, the Oasis. Because the Superman had reached out to her and the others in hopes of creating a space for others who were displaced like him, and for it to be a home for those who didn't have one, and also for it to provide protection of the people of Earth who had either been forgotten or abused, much like the Superman had been. But with Thomas seeing this place and it looking like a Krakoan Fortress of Solitude, and I mean not that he would really know what that would look like, but initially he asks if the Superman built this place, and it's here where Ivy lets him know that it was built by Swamp Thing, Dr. Jason Woodrue, who in a way is also doing this as a way to atone for his sins. But it's here where we find that Ivy had discovered a number of Kryptonian crystals around Metropolis that had a ton of information and instructions that were supposed to be uploaded to Kal-El upon his arrival. And it's here where we find that the message that they carry, this is what the Superman wants Thomas to hear and see, so he can understand what it was that was so important that the Superman needed Thomas's help. And it's here where we see the message that is on one of these crystals, which comes from Jor-El, telling his son Kal-El if he's receiving this message, then that means he survived, and there's a chance that the people of Krypton can too, because their planet is dying, but there is still hope. Because at this point in time within the Flashpoint universe or timeline, Krypton has not been destroyed yet. And it's here within this message where Jor-El goes on to explain that Kal-El was not the only Kryptonian child that was sent off of Krypton to a different world, with all these different children being given a similar mission for them to find a habitable world for the rest of their people to move to before Krypton self-destructs. And within this message we see that Kal-El was instructed that once he becomes an adult, his mission would be to use his powers and disarm the humans in order to prepare the Earth for the Kryptonians' arrival, to where then Jor-El and Kal-El will conquer as father and son. But this message then ends with Jor-El saying that him and the Kryptonians, they will be arriving soon, and when they do, Kal-El will be lauded as the hero of Krypton. And with Thomas hearing this, he's just more or less like, yep, it's an invasion. But it's here when he asks like, how long exactly do they have? To where then Swamp Thing replies, 5 days. But for Thomas, with him hearing 5 days, all he really hears is, okay, I got 5 days to do what I'm already doing. Cause the Superman is like, you gonna help? And Thomas is like, help do what? But then Ivy and the Superman, they tell Thomas that they need him to help build an army, because Thomas is the only person who can bring these different heroes out of hiding and bring everyone together, because neither the Superman or Ivy have that type of voice to where other heroes will listen or follow, at least not in the Flashpoint timeline. But again, Thomas is like, look, the humans, they imprisoned you, they tortured you, and now your father wants to come here and destroy all of them and give you the life that you deserve. And Thomas tells the two of them, by all means, let him do it. Because with bringing Thomas here and showing him all of this, all he's learned is that he has 5 days to complete his mission, which has nothing to do with theirs. And from there, he wishes them luck and he tells them, I'll find my own way home. But then it's after this where we then go over to the home of Iris West, where we now find the commissioner taking a look at the latest victim of the Clockwork Killer. And they received the call on this most recent murder when Iris was home and this body popped up out of nowhere. So she panicked, she ran, and she came back hours later with her husband. And it's here that we find that this body, with no ID, no prints, no name, no nothing, that it appears to be Eobard Thawne. who is the most recent victim of the Clockwork Killer, because Thawne just needs to stay away from Flashpoint anything, the button, all of that. And just after this, with us seeing what appears to be the death of Eobard Thawne, we then jump over to Hyper Time, where we find members of the Time Masters, Jeff Smith and Bonnie Baxter, who at this point are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because while they're here, they see a paradox reset, and they're not sure if it was caused by Eobard Thawne or Thomas Wayne, but in either case, due to the instability of Hyper Time, they've got to steer clear of the Omniverse, because if they jump from here into the Omniverse, then they run the risk of crossing paths with the Great Darkness and getting their histories rewritten. And at this point, with Rip Hunter still missing, they are hoping for him to kind of swoop in and show them a safe exit, but they have no clue where he is at this point. And then when Bonnie's brother's brought up, Corky Baxter, they bring up the idea that he may be involved, to where then Jeff is like, of course he is, let's just hope that he doesn't make it worse. And at this point, they're not aware that Corky is with Bruce Wayne, or exactly what Bruce Wayne is doing with Janie Slater's watch, or the snow globe, which Bruce stole from the Time Masters and Corky had just happened to find out. But also with how this is done, we're given a very cryptic, indirect comparison with the storm growing inside the snow globe, and all the snowmen and their little snow dog being trapped inside. And then on the outside, you have Janie Slater's watch, to where both the globe and the watch are drenched in tachyons and they're stabilizing each other, which in a way seems like the snow globe is Hyper Time and the watch is either Thomas Wayne or the Flashpoint universe. But for now, the answer to that is a mystery to us, it's a mystery to the Time Masters as far as Bonnie and Jeff, and we probably won't know the meaning of these pieces until we find the Clockwork Killer, who's likely trying to preserve the Flashpoint universe for the sake of stabilizing Hyper Time. But that's just one thing we'll have to wait and see. And hopefully until then, Jeff and Bonnie can hang in there. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below, so we can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.